Okay, can you see now the taking refuge and generating bodhicitta? All good? Thank you very much. Okay, so we'll just say this 3 times together in English, and then so when we take refuge, and death and impermanence, and we're going to talk a lot about refuge, but we meditate on the Buddha in front of us, and the Buddha is surrounded by all the bodhisattvas, all the other holy beings and our gurus, and we take refuge, and surrounding us are all other living beings. They're simultaneously taking refuge, all the people you love, all the people you have problems with, and even your enemies. As Lama Sopa would say, we put our enemies in front, so we put put your mum, your dad, your people you love behind you, out of your field of vision, and your front you put your enemies. So Vladimir Putin, he's right there, right there in front. He's going to take refuge too. Even we've got to look after our enemies and all that sort of stuff, or people we find behavior very, very bad, very badly behaved people. So we're all going to take refuge together. And so all in human form, and we're all saying the refuge prayer, all going with faith to the Buddha who's in front of us and our gurus. And so we do this, and we do this 3 times. I take refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By my mirror image of generosity and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit transmigratory beings. I take refuge until I'm enlightened in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By my merits of generosity and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit transmigratory beings. I take refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By my merits of generosity and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit transmigratory beings. Now we do the mandala offering. So we offer the universe and everything contained in the universe, Mount Meru and the 4 continents, the sun and the moon, etc. Okay, the ground is blessed. Whoops. The ground is blessed with scent and with flowers strewn, adorned with Mount Meru, the 4 lands, sun and moon, transformed as a pure land and offered. May all wandering beings enjoy this pure land. Oops, we'll just go next one. The inner mandala offering, all those object of my mind's 3 poisons, coveted friend, foe and stranger, body, wealth, worldly pleasure, without a feeling of loss I surrender. Receive them, please, and free all beings from their bondage. Idam Guru Ratna Mandala Kamniyatayami. So let's see, we'll just do, it would be good if we had time to do all the other prayers. They're very auspicious, but you all should have copies of this, so you can do that. And then we're just going to oops. We're just going to do the Foundation of All Good Qualities by Lama Tsongkhapa and recite that. The first few verses, because that's to do with the lower scope practice, and that's what we're concerned about, the teachings on guru devotion, the perfect human rebirth, and impermanence and death. So the foundation of all good qualities is the kind and perfect guru. Correct devotion to them is the root of a path. By clearly seeing this and applying great effort, please bless me to rely upon them with great respect. Understanding that the precious freedom of this rebirth is found only once is greatly meaningful and is difficult to find again. Please bless me to generate the mind that unceasingly, day and night, takes its essence. And this is the most important 2 verses now. This life is as impermanent as a water bubble. Remember how quickly it decays and death comes. After death, just like a shadow follows the body, the results of black and white karma follow. Finding firm and definite conviction in this, please bless me always to be careful, to abandon even the slightest negative action and accomplish all virtuous deeds. Great. Well, thank you very much. We'll stop sharing now. Okay, you've all been running around, so we'll just start off with just 5 minutes or a couple of minutes. You don't even have to do just a few minutes of just breathing meditation. So we just simply breathing in and out of the nostrils, and then just to calm the mind and just let everything that's happened to you today, get rid of it. and just so you're free of that, and then we just focus on the breath, and then we leave a little bit of space for what we're going to discuss this evening. So just a few minutes of breathing meditation. Okay, that's enough. Thank you very much. Thank you. Let's see. So let me just see, where are we now? Okay, so we've got I've got the syllabus here. I'll just quickly show the syllabus here. Here, just quickly. So we're at the 4th session now. So what will help us at the time of death? What is it like to die? What is not helpful at that time? What is helpful? Explanation of a 3rd main point of the 9-point meditation on death. How loved ones, our loved ones, possessions, and our body are not helpful. Only spiritual practice is helpful at the time of death. Meditations, the fact that only spiritual practice Dharma can help us at the time of death. Okay, I mean that's quite a bit to discuss, and it's it's a lot. It's what I'd like, if with your permission, I mean, it's we can approach. There's no one way to do this. I mean, there's no. You're all different. I'm different. You're different, and everyone's circumstance is different. And it's not, not as if we go through the book. So there's liberation in the palm by Pabonka Rinpoche, and that's definitely the text we're using. But we can't go through everything like slavishly. So what I'd like to do is just make a little bit of a parallel, because this is really getting to the crux of it. What is valuable in my life? What is valuable in my life? Because death is definite. the time of death is indefinite. So what is going to help me at death? So, but almost what is going to help me in life? I mean, what is going to help me in life now? What's going to help me today? Because I mean, today might be my last day of life. It probably won't. But what is going to help me today out of this process of understanding death? So what I'd like to do is just take a little bit of a diversion to get to the same place, but just a little bit of a side path. There's a very nice verse that is probably really, really good to know, for you all to know, from one of the Buddhist sutras. It's just 4 lines, and I'm going to read them. I'll read them a few times, and there are different translations, so don't worry about it. But I'll briefly explain it, because I think what it shows is how to make life meaningful, and then also how to make death meaningful. But how to make life meaningful, how to make understanding death meaningful as well. So I'm just saying it's from the sutras. The verse is spoken intentionally by the Buddha. I'll use this one. So okay, 4 lines. Wherever there is meeting, there is parting. So wherever there's meeting, there's parting. Meeting, party. So we've come together at 11 a.m. my time, or whatever time it is in your country. We've met. In 90 minutes from then, there'll be party. We'll part. And then hopefully next week at the same time. Actually, we've got daylight saving. That's going to mess things up a bit, but okay. So at approximately the same time, we'll meet again, assuming I can get my daylight saving sorted out with your time. Otherwise, I might be an hour late or an hour early. I don't know. So anyhow, so we'll meet again next week, and then we'll part. In life, you meet with friends, you part. You go to work, you meet people, you part. Your family meets, you part. You have Thanksgiving, Christmas, Easter, whatever celebrations, and you part. You meet in a marriage or a relationship, and eventually you part. I mean, you might part before death, but eventually death will separate you. You meet with your children in this life. You meet with your children, but eventually you will part from your children. They'll go do their own things, and maybe and death will eventually separate permanently. So wherever there's meeting, there is parting. Wherever there's meeting, there is parting. That's the first one. Now the other one is wherever there's accumulation. So accumulation, then there is dispersal. Wherever there's accumulation. So accumulating, that means to accumulate things. So we get stuff. So I love my jackets. I love my books. I got lots of books. I love different foods, my special foods. I love collecting whatever I collect. I got cupboards full of stuff. Whatever I accumulate will be dispersed. Maybe I'll get rid of it. I mean, the great dispersing events in our life are when we get sick or have to downsize as we get older, or something, have to get things, or when divorce or things, you have to disperse. Your possessions go. But finally, at death, they'll all disperse. All your possessions, all my possessions at the time of death, my executors will get rid of all my stuff. Everything I possess will be gone. So wherever there is accumulation, there is dispersal. And we can try to hold on tighter and tighter, and put insurance in, put security doors in, put e-tags on everything so I can track my possessions. But the entropy, or that nature of phenomena, is for them to disperse. There is in physics the concept of entropy, where things are moving and particles are moving, and the natural tendency is at a molecular level for things to disperse. We hold them together by external forces or create molecular bonds, but the innate nature of phenomena molecular level is to disperse, and at a macro level, it will disperse. Everything that we've accumulated will disperse. And we can see that in society. We've got empires accumulate and colonize, and they disperse. We've got incredibly wealthy people, they accumulate. The oligarchs and their big boats and their mansions, and then something happens, it falls apart and it disperses. Even the most powerful regimes, people that the world has known, it disperses. So wherever there is accumulation, there is dispersal. So that's the second one. The next one is wherever there's high, there is low. So, or wherever, another way of saying is wherever there's construction, there is falling. There is falling. So wherever there's high, there's low. So that can be like reputation. Wherever there's a high reputation, then it collapses. Just like one event, and then it can collapse. I mean, you guys have all sorts of celebrities in your country, and you can watch them climb up the ladder of celebrityism, and then something happens and they crash down. So for me, I mean, I don't read papers or celebrity magazines, but people like Jeffrey Epstein, for example. I mean, a real celebrity. Once all the child, well, his misbehaviors became evident, crashes down. And Prince Andrew, who was one of his associates, his reputation's been demolished too. So just if you're a king or a queen or celebrity, it crashes down. So high to low. I mean, Donald Trump in your country, very high, now low. All your presidents were high, then they become ordinary citizens. They become ordinary citizens. They're just like you and I at the end of it. So in my country, prime ministers from high to low, but also buildings and structures. The highest buildings in the world. I mean, like the tragedy of the Twin Towers in America. One morning these towers are in New York City, and the afternoon those towers have gone. They were magnificent. I remember when they were built, and just incredible. They're just the world lauded that, and how impressive. And then within a day, gone completely. Those magnificent structures gone. So many people died. So wherever there's high, there's low. Now even Mount Everest. Mount Everest didn't exist. I mean, does anyone know about geography and things like that? How long ago did Mount Everest? When the Indian subcontinent plate crashed into Asia and formed the Himalayas. When was that? I don't know. Let's say 100 million years ago. I don't know. Because in Tibet, they've got they have mollusk shells and everything. They've got all these fossils from the seabed. So the Himalayas, the highest mountains, were once on the sea. Now they've become the highest mountains, and then one day they'll go back to the sea again. So even the Himalayas. So high to low, reputation, disgrace, construction, destruction, everything. So high to low. And then the final one, the fourth one, is wherever there is life, there is death. Wherever there is life, there is death. So that's the fourth one. And that's the main. So that's where a little bit of a divergence, and we get back to death and impermanence. But it's similar. All these 15 million years ago, Himalayas were formed and still are today. And they're still forming today. They're still growing, are they? 50 million years, that's a blink in this world. That's just a blink. So 50 million years, that's nothing. And yet those, wow, I didn't realize it was that recent. Thank you, Kodo. Wow. So gone from mollusks on the bottom of the ocean to the highest mountains, and then they'll become on the bottom of the ocean again. Yeah. My country, Australia, in the center of Australia, is below sea level. So maybe it's already sinking. I don't know. Maybe we'll end up sunk one day. I don't know. But so high to low, high to low. Wherever there is life, there is death. So why are we discussing this? Why? Okay, actually, no, women, stop. I got to stop talking. Okay. Okay, 4 things there. Any comments, please? I'd love to hear some feedback from you. Anything about that before we go on? I can't see everyone's hands, so if you've got hands up, or you can just take yourself off mute and talk or something. That's what I'm saying. Yep, sorry. Yeah, Koda, please.
I was just going to say that change is the only constant. Constant change is the only constant.
Yep.
It's
Yes, correct.
mind-boggling, and it's sometimes scary, but it's also mysteriously beautiful.
Why is it scary? Tell me why is it scary, Koda?
Yeah, the letting go process is sometimes painful, whether it's dogs or people or concepts of what we think or what I think is I'm not sure what that is. Just concepts.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, exactly. I
Yeah,
understand,
they're just concepts.
And then you said mysteriously beautiful. Well, what do you mean by that?
Yeah.
Why?
Well, I studied sciences, and so chemistry and all those things, biology, and everything's moving. Everything's moving, and I do body work. So when I put my hands on someone very gently or even off the body, it can feel what's shifting and stuck, and then it shifts, and then something else good happens, more circulation happens. And so I don't know. I don't know, but it's pretty freaky wonderful. That's all I know.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Michael, you've unmuted yourself. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It seems to me that it's hard because, or it can be hard, because it's exactly the opposite of what our brains and our bodies do. In the same way that emptiness is, we believe we're full. I believe that I know who you are based on what I've seen, and you are that way. And I believe that I am this way, right? But really, we're not that way. And when we encounter anything, our brains do what's best to use that new information to reinforce what it already believes.
Yep.
Not like Koda said, to learn something, to let go of the old stuff and learn something new. That's a hard thing for our brains to do, right? We all hear the same thing, and then we have completely different interpretations of it because we use that information to reinforce what we already believe to be true. And if that means we need to start letting things go, that becomes it becomes intellectually hard, it becomes emotionally hard, it becomes spiritually hard.
Yeah, intellectually, emotionally, and spiritually. I think that's the really good way of talking about it. We can talk about these concepts intellectually, and then we get an emotional reaction. So we have to be honest in our emotional reactions and how we're reacting. And then spiritually, I mean, when we talk about spiritual, I suppose my understanding of spiritual is somebody who's not striving so much for this life's benefit, but future life's benefit. So how much does this intellectual, this emotional reaction we get, this an intellectual understanding, the emotional reaction, how do they spiritually transform us to make that leap, to not be so attached to this life? Now, which is beautiful. Thank you for that, because now I'm going to segue into the next thing, and Michael's given me the opportunity to do that. Perfect. I think I planted him. I planted the thought in his mind. So we're going to talk about why is there this resistance, and Kodo alluded to it too. Why is there a bit of resistance? Why do we have the fixed concepts and everything? And so I've given you those 4 lines, and they're really important. If I would write them down on a bit of paper and stick them on the wall and just do it. The next things I would stick on the wall are what is preventing us taking advantage of this life. So what's preventing me taking advantage of my life now? And this is another thing, another list. Sorry about this, but these lists are really good. This is called the 8 worldly dharmas. 8 worldly dharmas. Now, they're in pairs of 2. So there's only 4 you've got to remember. So it's quite easy, but they don't remember. Write them down. They're really cool. This is really good. So how can we transform this intellectual knowledge, this emotional reactions, into a spiritual path, So what holds us back? It's the 8 worldly dharmas. So I'm going to just go through them briefly, and we'll meditate on these as well, because it's so part of our transformation, a thought transformation process. It's so part of it. Okay, so they come in 4 pairs. Okay, what do we do in daily life? Well, what are we all doing? What are we spending our time on? We're not spending our time on spiritual path. Well, I'm not. I am not. I don't know what you're doing. I am not spending my time in the spiritual practice. I am not spending my time doing really worthwhile things. I'm spending my time looking after me and the people I like, and defending myself from other people I don't like. So how do I do that? I do this by the 8 worldly dharmas. And the first pair is I seek pleasure and I seek to avoid pain. So pleasure and pain. So that's the first one, pleasure and pain. So it's really, please write this down. But it's in the books. I mean, it's in all the books, but 8 worldly dharmas, you can Google it or something, pleasure and pain. So my whole life is spent trying to get more pleasure and to avoid pain. Now, what does that mean? Well, for a simple thing is that my hair's itchy, my scalp's itchy, so I scratch it. Okay, pleasure. I've got some pain, got some discomfort. I scratch it, I get a temporary relief. In another 10 minutes, my scalp will be itchy again and I'll have to scratch it again. And then I'll go through life scratching it, getting temporary relief, scratching it, getting temporary. Or I'm sitting on this chair, it's a bit uncomfortable. I'll move, do my stretches, my back's a bit better, my buttocks feel a little bit better, and then 10 minutes later, I'm going to have to do it again. So I seek pleasure and I try to avoid pain. Now, that's okay. I mean, I get hungry, I think I'll have something to eat. So I have something to eat. And if it's good, healthy food, I won't feel too bad about it. But then eventually I'll need to be hungry. I'll be hungry again and have to eat again. However, if I eat the wrong foods, if I go to McDonald's and have something really greasy, full of fat and carbs and salt, I'll eat that. And I think, gee, this tastes great and great. But then immediately, 5 or 10 minutes later, I feel uncomfortable. My body feels uncomfortable. And so there's discomfort. And then I wanted to go do something else to get rid of that discomfort. So I'm chasing. It's an endless chase. It's never ceasing. Even in bed, I mean, you see pictures or videos of people in bed. We think, I'm asleep in bed, nothing's happening. We're moving all the time in bed. We're moving. Our body's subconsciously moving. Even in bed, we're trying to have pleasure and to avoid pain. Try to have pleasure and avoid pain. We engage with, we get involved with people because I want pleasure from you. I want pleasure. Then when they start creating pain, I get rid of them. I get rid of them out of my life. If you're nice to me, you give me pleasure, I'll let you close to me. I'll be intimate. Once you start causing me pain, you're gone. You're out of my life. You're out of my life. It's simple. It's simple like that. So that's the first of these things. Pleasure and pain. And we can go through all the senses. We can go through, taste, what we taste. I want something nice. I'm going to cook. How much effort we put into what to cook. The old Tibetans in Tibet, they had sampa, which was roasted barley. They ground it and they added some Tibetan tea, which is that pretty disgusting butter tea and salt, and then form a ball, and then they'd eat it with a cup of tea. And that's what they would eat. They didn't have time for cookery classes. They didn't have time for recipes. They just want to study and practice. So they ate that. And they lived, and I'm sure Lama Tsongkhapa, Pabonka Rinpoche, the author of this book, probably subsisted on just roasted barley with butter tea and survived. But we can't do that. We can't do that. We have to have such elaborate sensory pleasures. How many cooking shows are there on your channels? I mean, we're besieged by them. Cooking shows. Mamma mia. Okay, so pleasure, pain. The other thing about, we won't get, okay, not going to get to it. Pleasure and pain. Also, so gustatory, smell. Gustatory, the olfactory, the smell, a bad smell, oh, yuck. Go to India and you step in something on the road and you think, oh my God, that's really bad. Or an open sewer. It's really disgusting, but it's, we don't like it. But we do like pleasant smells. So we try to surround ourselves by pleasant smells. And that's the game we play. Visual. Someone's pleasing to see. Oh, we're attracted. Someone's unpleasing to see. We want to be separate from. What we hear. what we hear. Nice noise, nice music. Oh, bad music. Get rid of bad music, bad noise, have nice noise. And then tactile sense is the same. And then even mental things like, so tactile, nice clothes, soft clothes, as opposed to rough clothes. And then mental consciousness. So we have the 5 senses, and then we have mental consciousness. So six consciousnesses that perceive. And then mental consciousness, we have memories. We might have memories. So we want to only remember nice things. We don't want to remember the tragedy. We don't want to remember the sadness, the loss, the grief. But we try to think, no, I won't think about those. I just want to think pleasant things, happy, happy, happy thoughts. And we try to, in this race, to have more happy thoughts and less sad thoughts. But they're both there. They're both dependent on one another. So pleasure and pain, that's the first one. The second one is gain and loss. Gain and loss. Now with gain and loss, that means to accumulate and get as much profit. We try to get as much profit in everything. And I don't just mean money. Okay, we invest in the stock market. Okay, you got some money, I'm going to invest in a stock market. Why? Because I want to get gain. I want to get profit. Okay, so you get profit. Stock market goes up. And then now I think in our country, the stock market's going down. So everyone's unhappy. I presume in your country, stock market's going down. Everybody's unhappy. So they're lost. So we speculate to get profit. And then risk comes in. We get lost. So we lose money. So some money in business. Business is all about, unless you're in the non-profit sector, like we are in Dharma centers, then we don't seek monetary gain, but we do seek gain in other ways. I mean, for example, we may say, "Oh, I'm so fabulous because I've got Dharma students in America. I've gained students in America. How wonderful!" But then I'm going to lose you in a few weeks, so I'll feel some sadness. But that's it. So gain and loss. Even gain and loss like that. So we spend our whole life just trying to get stuff, money, nice clothing, a nice place to live, nice friends around us, nice things to enjoy, and we don't want to lose them. And if we lose them, and that causes heartache. So that's the second one, gain. So that's the second one, gain and loss. So pleasure and pain. That's the first dance. These are dances. It's like dancing. You've got a partner, and that partner is like, I want pleasure, but my partner is pain, and we're dancing together, and we're struggling. We can't let go of each other. And my partner, I'll call her a she. She is trying to drag me one way, and I'm fighting her to go this way, because the way she's going is into pain, and I want pleasure. The way she's going is into loss, but I want gain. So we're dancing. There's this horrible dance of push and pull, each tugging each other. So that's one way to look at it. The third one is reputation and disgrace. Reputation and disgrace. So we all want to have a good reputation. We all want to have a good reputation. And it might just be that we want to be a good neighbor in the community. We might want to be a good Dharma practitioner. We might want to be a good husband or a wife or a mother or a father or a good, so we've got Barbara, and you've got your sister here. You want to be a good sister to Kim, so if you want to be a good sister. And so all of these are reputations, and we spend, and me, I want to be a good Dharma teacher. And then, so we all want reputation. And then we can see it as it escalates up. And we talk about celebrities and how much they invest in maintaining that reputation. So they have media people, makeup artists, publicity advisors, all sorts of security guards, whatever you need to bolster that reputation. Now you can go to that extreme, but for us, we're just, I don't know about you, but I'm a very mundane sort of person. But still, reputation it festers. It's a festering sore all the time. So reputation, and then disgrace, the incredible suffering that comes from disgrace as we get found out for what we are. as we get found out for what we are. And that's really, really hurtful, very damaging. Now, so once again, this dance, I want a good reputation, but my dance partner is disgrace, and she's trying to take me to all sorts of hardships, as people find out what I really am, which is that, it's a reputation is, it's just a label, isn't it? It's just something, a label, and it can be taken so quickly away. We've just had the grand final in the football on the weekend here. I mean, you guys have different sort of footballs. We have our football in Australia. It's sort of developed from Gaelic football and rugby, and it's a mismatch, but it's a great game. It's a really amazing game. But it's called Aussie rules, Australian rules football. It's amazing. So and we had on the weekend was the grand final on Saturday night, and a team won. Okay, they are so happy. They're just so happy. They've got the reputation of being the best footballers in Australia, and they're partying. Saturday night was party. Sunday night was Sunday was hangovers. Monday was another party, and they've been driven through the streets of their hometown, hangover but happy, and everyone's praising them. Everyone's praising them. Their reputation has sort of gone through the roof. Now, how long will that last? It's very rare for a football team to win 2 years in a row. So that praising will immediately diminish next year when they lose their first match. That they won't be praised anymore. The reputation will go down. They'll be seen as has-beens. Oh, you've lost a match in the next season. And then what will happen? How long does it last? It's very tenuous. It's just reputation is, like we talk about in that verse from Lama Tsongkhapa, life is as impermanent as a water bubble. Well, reputation's just like that. A little pop and the bubble bursts, and suddenly the reputation's gone. But we cling to it. And for certain people, I don't know, why do people cling to reputation? Probably there's a deep sense of insecurity. Maybe that's it. There's an unfulfilled need that they didn't get from childhood or previous lives or something. I don't know, but some people are devastated when their reputation gets destroyed. So reputation and disgrace, that's the third one. And the fourth one is praise and criticism. Okay. We all like to hear nice words about ourselves. So I've got to say to I don't know, Barbara, I think you've got really nice pictures behind you on the wall. I think you must have really good taste, and I think you're very mindful and expert in interior design and all that sort of stuff. And so I think that, whereas Michael, I'm going to say, Michael, you've got the moon stuck to the back of your head. Why have you got the moon stuck to the back of your head? I mean, praise and blame, praise and criticism. Immediately when we get praise, something happens. It's an inflatedness. We feel inflated. We actually get bigger. We put our chest out, we put our shoulders back, we sit up straighter. And when we get criticized, we shrink a little bit. But then we fight back. So praise and criticism. Once again, the dance. I want praise. My dance partner is taking me to criticism, because wherever there's praise, there's going to be criticism. See, that's with all these, they're like a coin. They're like a coin, heads and tails. So wherever there's pleasure, there will be pain. Wherever there's gain, there will be loss. Wherever there's reputation, there will be the potential for disgrace. Wherever there's praise, there's definitely the potential or criticism will occur. So they're just like, praise today, criticism tomorrow, reputation today, disgrace tomorrow, gain today, loss tomorrow, pleasure today, pain tomorrow. It's just, but we all believe we're only going to get the 4 good things. We all believe we're only going to get pleasure. We're only going to get gain. We're only going to get good reputation. We're only get praise. We believe that. And that clinging on to it is so devastating because the other four are going to crush it. They're going to crush it. And when that crushing occurs, what are we left with? Where are we? Who are we? When our reputation's been destroyed, when no one's praising us anymore, when we've lost everything and we're only feeling pain, who are we? Who are we at that stage? Who are we? And that's where we go beyond the intellectual. We have these incredible feelings, emotional reactions, and then we have to transform that into the spiritual path, transforming that into the spiritual path. And that will occur at death, inevitably. But if we can start that process now, we don't have to wait to the cataclysm of death. We can actually, because all these things are going to happen at death. Our reputation will go. People will stop praising us. They might say some nice things at the funeral, but then you're forgotten. You're forgotten. We will lose everything. We will own it. There will be no more pleasure because we've exited this life. So this is death. That's death. The 8 worldly dharmas, we've spent our whole life, but the 4 nice ones at death, they're gone. The 4 bad ones will be left. And how do we recover? How do we transform that? And waiting to death to do that is a bit too late. It's a little bit too late. We have to start now. Okay. Right. 8 worldly dharmas. Once again, I need help. I need you to help me. So please, please, where are your thoughts at the moment? Because I'm blabbering on. Hi, Barbara.
I guess my thought is that that's where the rubber meets the road. I mean, is how I look at it. And then what am I going to do with that?
So when you mean the rubber meets the road, because we have different cultural sort of norm, what does that actually mean to you in English? What does it mean? What does it mean? Because
that's where it's at. I mean, that's where I feel like that's where I really define who I am.
Good. Yep.
And I just really try to deal with the small things. And if I can get the small things under control, then I can, when the bigger things come, it's, and then to the ultimate big thing, which is death, is
yep.
how I look at it.
Yep. Good. Okay. Yep. Right. Start with the small things and work through. Okay. So that's until we get the ultimate things. Death. Excellent. So that's where we're at the moment, starting with the small things. So if we can, that verse from the Buddha, wherever there is meeting, there is parting. Wherever there is accumulation, there is dispersal. Wherever there is high, there is low. And wherever there is life, there is death. If we start living our life according to that now, and as you said, putting the rubber to the road, actually doing it, then we're making progress. We've started that gradual incline to getting to when something happens in life, and it might not be death. I mean, it might be that we just get really sick, or we get divorced, or there's some family thing or a social thing. I mean, we could lose everything, like in Ukraine. Those people lose everything. Last year they had everything. This year they got nothing. Or refugees, they've lose everything. So it could happen really quickly. But the people who will survive that tumultuous event, that life-changing event, will be the ones who are most adaptable. And as Barbara said, they've put the rubber to the road now to prepare for something, So I like that. And the other ones who will survive those cataclysmic changes better are the ones that realize now, okay, the 8 worldly dharmas, I'm obsessed with this. And not only obsessed, I'm just tired. I just get tired because, yes, I am in this dance with this really recalcitrant partner who I can't control. I just only want pleasure, but my partner, that aspect of existence keeps dragging me into pain. I'm so tired of that. I'm so tired of trying to gain things and then losing them, of trying to profit all the time and having loss. I'm just tired. I'm tired of bolstering up a reputation and being scared of disgrace. I'm just tired. I can let it go. I'm tired of just wanting to be praised all the time. I'm just tired. Criticism, how can I deal with criticism better? There were some great teachers in Tibet. They were called the Kadampa masters. Kadampas, that these were the followers of Atisha, the great Indian pandit who came to Tibet. And these Kadampa masters had what's called the Lojong tradition. Lojong is thought transformation. It's really, really good. Lojong is fantastic. And I think if those Lojong practitioners, those Kadampa masters were alive now, and they've reincarnated, then they would be teaching, psychotherapies, I think, that would be evolved, like cognitive behavioral therapies and such like that, where we look at our emotions and we transform the emotions. So we might have, like with criticism, we think, oh my God, I've been criticized. That's bad. Criticism is bad. I must deal with criticism. How can I survive criticism? Now, the Kadampa masters, they're completely the opposite. They're crazy. They're in our view, they're insane. Okay, they love being criticized. They say, "Oh my God, someone's criticized me," because they were high teachers. No one criticized. They're a bit like a king who's powerful, or a president or something. No one criticizes you. I mean, like poor old Vladimir Putin. You've got to feel sorry for him because no one can stand up to him, and he's just making a shit show of this. It's really because no one can stand up to him and say you're doing the wrong thing. But criticism is really, really good. So with these Kadampa masters, they would beg for criticism, and they would just be so grateful when somebody criticized me. Fantastic, thank you. You've taught me so much, and you've allowed me to practice patience. Thank you. And when somebody praised them, they would be so upset. They would imagine it's like a spear going into their heart. When someone praised them, it would be like a spear is being pushed into their heart, because they were so concerned about becoming having an inflated ego. But they loved criticism. So I mean, it's crazy. We can't do that. We're not strong enough. But at least we can maybe not get upset. At least, so I think what Barbara, you're saying, start the process small. So, okay, we want to be Kadampa masters. We want to be able to walk down the road and people admonish us, spit at us, criticize us, neglect us, and regard us all as our spiritual practice. Fantastic. We want to be like them. We want to be able to lose everything. We want to have no clinging to any resources. We want to be disgraced, and people have no regard for our reputations as the Kadampa masters. But we can't do that now. So we can take a little bit. Okay, so maybe like we start, and we want to get up to there. So we start a little bit. So a little less pleasure and a little bit more discomfort. Okay, so maybe we don't have to worry so much about food, or maybe what we can do is take vows, take the 8 Mahayana precepts, for example, the 8 Mahayana precepts. Who's heard about the 8 Mahayana precepts? Oh, cool. A few hands. Oh, good. Have you taken them? Have you taken them? Okay. And okay, maybe could you tell me about your experience? Because we're talking about a bit of pleasure and pain. And could you tell me about your experience of taking the 8 Mahayana precepts? I would like to know. Erin?
Sure. I'll just say from my kind of baby wanna be a Buddhist perspective, it's difficult because all of my little pleasures that I usually do, like having snacks and sleeping in, things like that, get challenged. But one of the neat things I find is that there is some kind of, like, there feels like there's a blessing there, And then there's a little bit more space for wanting to read a Dharma book or reciting a sutra or something like that. So there seems to be a little more space for that.
Yeah, good. Shayla, I think you wanted to say something.
There was, for me, it's something that I find appealing, and it forces me to. Sorry, Tasha.
Tashi, I love your dog. I think it's beautiful. He always say-
He's a bad boy.
No, he's not. Keep going. That's all right.
And the having to constantly remind myself it just doesn't come easily. You know, I
Yes,
have
sir.
constantly. I write 8 on my hand, and so that, you know, I'll remember my precepts. Because yeah, I struggle with remembering
Okay.
in the middle of
Okay.
work. And, yeah.
Cool. Excellent. Okay. Anybody else who's experienced the 8 Mayana precepts want to comment on what it was like? Or... I can't see all of you at the one time, so you're just going to have to or maybe I can. Oh, yeah, I
Alan,
can. I know I can. Yep.
Alan, there's a little box that says view, and if you click on that, you can click on the gallery instead of speaker.
Fantastic. Yeah, I've got it now. Excellent. Thank you. Yeah, yeah, good. Okay, so we talk about pleasure and pain. Okay, so yeah, the 8 Mayana precepts, as Erin said, a little bit of pain, a little bit of pain. 1 meal a day. Can't eat after lunch. You have to get up early. Have to keep the 8 precepts for 24 hours. And, you know, no killing, no stealing, no sexual conduct, no lying, etc. No intoxicants, and no eating at inappropriate times, etc. Okay. Yeah, a little bit of pain. A little bit of pain. So a little bit of pain, but the benefit, I mean, if we spoke, if Lama Sopa was here, I mean, for a start, he wouldn't stop talking for 8 hours about the benefit of 8 Mana precepts. I can't do that, but I can only say what Lama Sopa says. You know? So if we summarize what Lama Sopa said, he would say that the benefit, that pain, that little bit of pain, so a little bit of pain, the benefit is just sort of astronomical. It's just astronomical. It's astronomical. So how do we define pleasure? I suppose that's what I'm trying to say. How do we define pleasure? How do we define pain? If a little bit of pain gives so much benefit, so much good karma, so much purification, so much long-term benefit in this life, but certainly future life, is that pain? I mean, is that pain? It's pleasure. So I'm sure Lama Sopa is just like that. I mean, for him, hardship is pleasure, because hardship for him is totally looking after others. He's completely got rid of the 8 worldly dharmas. He is a Kadampa master, and His Holiness the Dalai Lama too. They're like the Kadampa masters. They're just totally 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days of the year, every second thinking about other living beings. So any hardship is not hardship. It's pleasure. So they only have, well, they don't have any of the 8 worldly dharmas, but if you said in pleasure and pain, well, there's no pain because they've given themselves to others and got rid of the self-cherishing mind. So because the self-cherishing mind's gone, there's only pleasure. There's no gain and loss. If they lose, if they gain, it's no different because they've got rid of the self-cherishing mind. The reputation and disgrace, they don't care about their reputation. They don't care when people criticize them. I mean, I've been in classes with Lama Sopa and people stand up and abuse him or sort of just criticize him, and he just looks at them and says, thank you. And keeps going. Praise and criticism once again. And then praise and criticism mean nothing. So the it's not as if we get rid of the 8 worldly dharmas and only end up with the good 4. No. We get rid of all of them, because the 8 good ones, the 4 good ones, we think we want them, but they're actually suffering. The 4 bad ones, we think we don't want them because they're actually suffering, because they're suffering, but they're actually really good. So if we had the choice, the Kadampa masters would say, I'm going to get rid of the good ones and only want the 4 bad ones. That's a bit impractical, but anyhow, so we're going to get rid of all 8 because None of them are any good. Now, how does that, now we've got to bring it round to our discussion on death and impermanence, because it's to do with this the last topic, well, not the last topic, but we have the 9-point meditation on death. First of all, there's death is definite. Then there's death is indefinite. And then what helps us at the time of death? What helps us at the time of death? Now, at the time of death, our body doesn't help us because our body dies. Our body we leave behind. So once again, we've tried to accumulate this body. We've tried to hold on to the body. We've tried to accumulate, but it will disperse. And we've tried to have pleasure for this body. We've tried to have every sort of pleasure for this body, but so this body will go. Our friends and relatives around us, our friends and relatives who we've tried to accumulate, they can't help us at the time of death. They will disperse. But they can help us. But having said that, there's a caveat. There's always a caveat, okay? Because we're now going to talk in a little bit. We'll talk about what Lama Zopa teaches in this, which is how to face death without fear by Lama Zopa. And that's the Buddha. That's how the Buddha died. And he's teaching us how to die. And friends can help us at the time of death, but only spiritual friends. They can't help by, they can help. So we can actually help at the time of death, but for normal people with just crying and weeping, that doesn't help. It actually can be a distraction. And then all our material possessions, our wealth, our stocks, our share market portfolio, our bank accounts, our house, our boat, our car, our art collection, our clothes, it can't help us. So nothing can help us at the time. So what does help us at the time? What does help us at the time? And if I can just say what Barbara says, it's when have we put the rubber to the road? Have we put the rubber to, and have we transformed our mind? Have we accumulated masses of virtue or merit, as we're talking about by taking the 8 Mahayana precepts? Have we purified negativities? Have we cultivated the correct minds? Have we reduced the influence of the 8 worldly dharmas, so that when death comes, we're not attached, we're sort of free? So what prevents us from engaging in, so when we go through these 3, death is definite, the time of death is indefinite, and nothing helps at the time of death except Dharma. So the 3 conclusions we get, and they're sort of linked in with these. So death is definite leads to the conclusion that I must practice Dharma. So death is definite, I must practice Dharma. The time of death is indefinite, so I must practice Dharma now, because I could die. So procrastination. So I get rid of procrastination. Laziness. It's a type of laziness, procrastination. So the time of death is indefinite, so I must practice Dharma now. The third one is nothing helps at the time of death except Dharma, so I must practice Dharma purely. So I must practice Dharma. I must practice Dharma now. I must practice Dharma purely. So that's, and now, what prevents us practicing Dharma purely? The 8 worldly dharmas. So see how it all links in? It all links in. So what drives the 8 worldly dharmas? Ignorance, attachment, anger, especially attachment. These are all things. Attachment really drives it. And that's what drives it. So we're being driven by attachment. This dance we've got with the 8 worldly dharmas and the recalcitrant partner, they're driven by attachment, and also by anger, fear, loathing, remorse, grief, etc., and ignorance, the fundamental ignorance that grasps at the eye, at the eye. Okay, so we will do some meditation on this in a minute, but once again, it's I've talked myself into a stupor, so I need a little bit of help. So let's how are we going? How are people traveling? Yeah, Kodo, hello. Yep.
In a couple weeks here, we can take the 8 Mahayana precepts. even if we haven't like connected with our geshe or whatever, we can still do it to practice, right, getting ready. So, and I don't know, can I just ask a question about that?
Yeah, sure, please, absolutely, yeah. Yes,
Oh,
please.
Thank you. I've been practicing not eating after my main meal. And so I'm a couple hours later because I work. So as soon as I get home, I eat, and then I try not to eat. And like this other person said, there's so much time. There's like so much freedom. And at first I was like, wow, I've got so much freedom now that I don't have to deal with this craving and overeating and then wanting to lose weight and all this mind. Just craziness. It's insanity.
Yeah.
But do we do that every day now then for the rest of our lives, or only once once a month, or what?
Okay.
It sounded like it isn't every single day, or
Okay.
is it?
Okay, I think yeah, it's great. I'm so happy. Look, I'm really, really happy, and who's ever organising it, you know, they get a real round of applause for doing such a wonderful job and making that opportunity, because it's just so valuable. Okay, most lay people like us, we probably, if for practice, we do it a few times a year. We would do it a few times a year. We might do it. Oh, there it is. Okay, Dawa Duchen. Asaka Dawa Duchen, 8 man precepts. Oh, cool, fantastic. Okay, I'll have a look at that. Isn't that awesome? Okay, so yeah, we might I'm just trying to think of the Dharma center I go to. There are different times of the year when it's most auspicious. There's about, I think, 5 Buddhist days per year where the benefit is intensified amazingly, where it's a million. Lama Sopa would say the benefits are multiplied by a million, but even a million. He's very liberal with his millions. So, okay, so that would be like at Sakadawa. And the Buddha's, the other one would be when the Buddha's first gave his teaching, when the Buddha descended from Tushita, and these holy days. Now, they're on the Buddhist calendar. For bang for your bucks. So once again, it's all right to have profit and loss when you're talking about spiritual things. So for the biggest profit is to take Mahayana precepts on one of those special days. However, what I found over the years is that it's actually quite hard to practice on those days. And I think one of the caveats is that it's so beneficial to practice on those days because it's often a little bit harder. So there might be a little bit more difficulty, but the benefit is just so massive that if you can do it, do it. You know, to do it and get up before sunrise, take the precepts, and just need to have don't need anything in particular. Just imagine or visualize the Buddha in front of you, who's the aspect of your guru, and then recite the prayers, meditate, and then you take the precepts, and then until sunrise the next day, you've got the precepts. So just meditate on the Buddha or your guru and the aspect of the Buddha giving you the precepts. And for 24 hours, you've got those precepts. And that's usually enough. So that means on that first day, you're up early, there's no breakfast, but then have lunch. And try to have lunch around about midday. And it's not a long lunch. It's not a 3-hour lunch. It's a one sitting lunch. Avoid black foods. So no meat. And no alcohol or anything, because you're not allowed. That's one of the precepts. No, so meat, no meat, no eggs, no onions, garlic, radish. Look, they're the main ones like that. So it's vegetarian, well, vegan. I suppose we call it more vegan-y, sort of. I've heard if you do it in several, you can have a light. Yeah, okay. And there's another one from Mark. Yeah, he's heard if you do it several in a row, you can have a light breakfast, tea, toast. Absolutely, yeah. So Mark's right. If you do several in a row, if it's just one, no breakfast. But if you're doing quite a few in a row, yeah, have a light breakfast, and some tea and toast or coffee and toast or something, and that's fine. But for just one, just no breakfast, and then lunch, finish around about midday, and then you've got the whole afternoon, as you said, Kodo. Suddenly you've got the whole afternoon to do things. You won't die. I mean, people think, oh my God, we're going to die. Now, there are caveats. Remember there was that Irish Republican, I don't know if you maybe, but there was an Irish Republican prisoner in a British jail. Man, it was last century, but you know, I remember when I was a kid, I think, and he went on a hunger strike. I think it took him 49 days to die. Is that Bobby Sands? Yeah, Bobby Sands in 1970. Yeah. How long did he take to die? I thought it was like 49 days, like 7 weeks or something. He just didn't eat and he starved to it. So that's okay. We have 49 days of not eating. He died, but for us, 24 hours of having only one meal, we won't die. But physiologically, we change, and it's good. It's good physiology. It's a good physiology. I think we looked at the hormonal levels, your insulin levels would drop, all those other fatgenic chemicals, endocrine changes would resolve, your sugar levels drop, you start consuming glycogen in the liver. I think it's really valuable to be fasting, really valuable. So I've done a lot of nyungyes. I've done about 80 at the moment, and then I did 8 in a row at one stage. So that took 16 days, only eating once every second day. Although, as Mark said, you can have a light breakfast on the second day. So every 2 days, you'd have 1.5 meals, and you just keep going like that. And after a while, your body just changes. And you get a bit skinnier, which is great. You feel fantastic. You feel lighter, but your body physiology changes. And I think those changes can be a bit permanent if you maintain mindfulness. And so you can change your body's physiology. But also, we're gathering huge amounts of virtue, huge amounts of merit, and purifying huge amounts. So, just fasting itself. If fasting is done for the 8 worldly dharmas, it brings no spiritual benefit. If fasting is done to create merit and to purify negativities, it's a spiritual path. And if it's done for others' benefit. So when we take the 8 Mahayana precepts, we're not just saying, I'm taking these precepts because I want to be free from samsara. No, these are Mahayana precepts. And we're saying, I'm taking these precepts so that all war will stop, so that all famine will stop, so that the great elements of earth, water, fire, and wind will be in balance and not destroy us, and to deal with epidemics. So I'm doing this to take on all the suffering of all living beings. So that's why we're taking the 8 Mahayana precepts. So it's totally destroying the self-cherishing mind. That's why it's Mahayana precepts. The other precepts that are taken, like monks and nuns take precepts, but they're the vows of individual liberation. They came from the Buddha, and they're the vows of individual liberation. And so we start with the 5 layperson's vows: not killing, not stealing, not lying, no sexual misconduct, and no intoxicants. They're the 5 layperson's vows. They're the Hinayana vows. They're Hinayana vows. But you take them for life. You take them for the life. And then you can take after that, so you become an upasaka, which is a layperson with the 5 lay precepts. And you can take 1, 2, 3, or 4, depending on your circumstances. But you take them for life. And then after that, you can take the next level of precepts with a Getsul ordination, where it's a novice monk, and they take a number of precepts. And then you've got the Gelong and the Gelongma, the full ordination. And then there's one other ordination for the females. Females have got 3 levels of ordination, monks have got 2. But they're lifelong precepts, unless you hand over your ordination and cease to become a monk or a nun or whatever. But they are life. So you take them once and you've got them forever. Whereas the 8 Mahayana precepts, generally, we don't take them. There are different views on it. Can you take the 8 Mahayana precepts once and have them continuous? There's one view you can. The other view is you take them every day. And you have to take the 8 Mahayana precepts every day. So there are different views on it. I was just reading a book by Lama Sopa, and he was commenting on somebody else's view. I'm not sure exactly where Lama Sopa stands on this, but for us who are just doing it a couple of times, get up early, take them every morning. Is that okay? So how's that? How are you? Kodo? Yeah.
Now I'm confused.
Yes, yeah, good. Okay.
At first, I thought you said you only do the 8 Mahayana precepts a few times a year. And now it sounds like you take them every morning. So now I'm confused.
Okay. If you want to, you can take them every morning, depending on your circumstances. Yeah. If you want to. But most practitioners, just due to time and circumstances, just take them maybe on the holy days, which would be those 5 special Buddhist festivals, or if they're doing a Nyungne special practice like that, they take them then, or other days like full moon. The full moon is a special day. Usually the full moon is very auspicious, so they will do it on the full moon of every month. So that's how you get the best bang for your bucks. But if you wanted to, there's absolutely nothing stopping you or anybody from taking the 8 Mahayana precepts every day. If you do that, then I think you should get some advice from somebody knowledgeable about whether you have to take them every day, or can you take them, say, I'm taking them today for a month or a week. I'm going to take the 8 Mahayana precepts for 1 week starting today. I can't answer that. So go to a lama and or a spiritual advisor and get some advice on it. Okay, thank you. Hello, Barbara. Yeah.
When I did the November course, we did it for 10 days, 10 consecutive days, and we took them every morning. So,
Yeah.
and it was probably in the middle of the course. So a lot of the things that make up the 8 Mahayana precepts, we were already doing. We were getting up every morning at 5.
Yeah.
No lying, no sexual misconduct, or no sexual conduct, no alcohol. We were already doing those. And so I think that, there were really only a couple of things that we hadn't been doing for like 2 weeks leading up to it. And it's all like rehabituating is kind of how it was for me. And it was all in the mind. I don't need to eat all those times a day. I'm habituated to eat 3 times a day, but I don't need to eat 3 times a day. So a lot of it was habit for me, and those habits there, you didn't have those habits anymore, whether you wanted to or not. You didn't, and it was great.
Yeah, good, very, very good, excellent. So there's here any advice on a good Buddhist calendar? I tend to I'm very lazy, and I just go to my Dharma center, and that they've got the monthly program, and it's there. So I'm sure maybe Tupta Nobu Lingdu or FPMT produce them. Is that right, Barbara?
FPMT does put out a Tibetan calendar that you can get.
Yep. Yeah, I've got one on my phone, but I find it quite confusing sometimes. It's Drukpa calendar. Let's have a calendar. Yeah, Drukpa calendar. Okay, it's Drukpa, DRUKPA. It's an app on my phone, and that sort of gives me. But I get confused with it. I get confused. So yeah, I'm lazy. I just go via the Dharma. Let someone else do the work for me. It makes life a lot easier. But FPMT have got calendars too. I think Rabina produces the Liberation calendar every year, the Liberation calendar, and that will be a way of supporting her too. Now, let's see, where are we at? We should do some meditation. I suppose we need to, otherwise. Okay, so the meditation, okay, what we've gone around about, and it's okay. I think it's been we've gone around about how do we make life meaningful now to prepare for death in the future. What is it that prevents us making life meaningful now is the 8 worldly dharmas, So why don't we do a little, I think, yeah, well, why don't we just do a little bit of discursive meditation, because then we'll get in towards the end. So it's going to be the 8 worldly dharmas. Now, I would like you to think, while you're doing this analytical meditation, your particular dance. What is the dance that is causing you? Like we've got the rumba, the tango, the waltz, and the foxtrot or something. So the rumba might be the pleasure and pain. The gain and loss might be the tango. The reputation and disgrace can be something tragic, like a waltz, and praise and criticism can be a foxtrot or something. And then you're all dancing with your partners. Which one is your favorite dance? Which partner is causing you the greatest, which dance is causing you the greatest, and how are you obsessed with it? So we've all got our favorite. They're all driven by attachment, ignorance, and anger. But so what we're going to do is just a brief meditation. Okay, I'm just going to say, okay, how does pleasure and pain, how engaged, how obsessed are you with pleasure and pain in your life? And just meditate on it. Then I'll say, how obsessed are you with gain and loss? How obsessed are you with reputation and disgrace? How obsessed are you with praise and criticism? So that's what I'm going to say. Okay. So we just relax, just get into meditation posture again. A few breaths in and out, just to clear the mind. Okay, so we're going to be meditating on our obsession with the 8 worldly dharmas. Our obsession with the 8 worldly dharmas. The first one is pleasure and pain. My obsession with pleasure and pain, and how that torments me. So just meditate on that. Now the second pair of the 8 worldly dharmas is gain and loss. How I'm obsessed with gaining as much profit as I can and things as much as I can, and how obsessed I am with preventing any loss or losing any of these things that I've gained. So gain and loss, my obsession. Now the third set is reputation and disgrace. I am obsessed with my reputation, and I am obsessed with preventing disgrace. Just meditate how we defend our reputation at all costs. And the last set is praise and criticism, praise and blame. I'm obsessed with being praised, and I'm obsessed with avoiding criticism. And now we meditate on the three conclusions. Because the eight worldly dharmas have given me so much grief to prepare for death, I must practice Dharma. I must practice Dharma now, and I must practice Dharma purely, which means practicing Dharma without the eight worldly dharmas. That is the definition of Dharma practice, practicing Dharma without the eight worldly dharmas. So just meditate on that final conclusion. Okay, you can just cease to meditation now at your leisure. Good. Well, we're sort of we're sort of about done now. Okay. Yeah, good. So, Erin, you posted that the Liberation Prison Project of FPMT makes a calendar available online. Yeah, good. Excellent. Very, very good. So very good. So I think it's we'll dedicate our merits in a minute, because we've done some wonderful things. But how are people going? How are people going? Okay, thumbs up. Good. Any good parting comments before we go? Yeah, Barbara, you'd like to say something?
I guess it's more of a question. I understand practicing Dharma, the need to practice Dharma. I understand the need to practice Dharma now. I'm a little bit fuzzy about practicing Dharma purely and how the 8 worldly concern. I'm just fuzzy about that one. If you could
Yeah.
just talk a little bit
Okay.
about that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well, let's say, okay, I'll talk from my perspective, okay? From my perspective, okay. I teach Dharma, and people think, oh, if he's teaching Dharma, he must be practicing Dharma purely. Okay, and you think, great. Okay, so I go maybe to teach Dharma to a place, and I expect to enhance my reputation. I think, great, I'll go and teach sort of some Buddhist philosophy, and my reputation as a teacher of Buddhist philosophy will be enhanced. That is practicing Dharma, not purely. I go to teach Dharma, and maybe people will give me offerings or something, so get some money or a nice place to stay. So that's gain and pleasure, maybe that. And then I want people to say to me in the group, oh, Alan, gee, you're a wonderful teacher. You've done such nice work. I really understand Dharma now. And then that feeds my ego, and I'm getting praised. So that's impure. So that's just, so I'm just doing from my perspective now. So that not pure Dharma practice. Pure Dharma practice is to not have any of those expectations. To just be doing it purely. I think if Lama Zopa were here, we would say do it from pure compassion, love, and bodhicitta, and also do it with the mind that completely destroys the self-cherishing mind, and thinks I have only the mind of cherishing others. That, to me, is probably Lama Zopa's definition of pure Dharma practice. Okay, and if we can understand emptiness, that's great. If we can do esoteric practices, that's great. But really, when it comes down to it's love, compassion, bodhicitta, and destroying the self-cherishing mind and having the mind that cherishes others. If we have that as our practice, then immediately we're crushing the 8 worldly dharmas. We're crushing the 8 worldly dharmas, whatever we do. So even giving a cup of tea. So you offer somebody a drink. Like on the weekend, my partner, she was really stressed. She's got a job interview, and in about 2 hours, I got to speak to her in a minute and give her some consolation. I don't know what to say, but anyway, she was incredibly stressed, and there was nothing I could do. So I would bring her cups of tea or coffee or whatever, and as I was taking her to her, I would meditate. I'll do this with the mind of bodhicitta, because when she gets stressed, she's really hard to be around. I mean, she's really difficult. So I'm doing this with love and compassion. Bodhicitta, may I become a Buddha to benefit all living beings. And by my offering of this cup of tea, may you become a Buddha and liberate all living beings. And even though I'm feeling a bit shitty inside and a bit grumpy and a bit, then I try to get rid of that self-cherishing and cherish somebody else and give her a cup of tea. So that to me is like how even something simple like offering a cup of tea to somebody, or a cup of water or a biscuit, that can be a type of Dharma practice, a pure Dharma practice, rather than just, I'm giving you a cup of tea, would you please shut up and leave me alone so I can do something else, that's, maybe that's it. I think we just need to really look in our mind. If ever we're acting under the influence of the 8 worldly dharmas, it's not Dharma practice. Whether we're on a throne, whether we're in a limousine, whether in front of cameras, whether we're being people taking our photograph, or if it's motivated by the 8 worldly dharmas, it's not Dharma practice. That's it. So I don't know, Barbara. It's just keep trying. But Don't try too hard, little steps, little steps. We're not monks and nuns, just little steps. Anybody else got any comments, Okay, well, let's do the dedication prayers because I'm getting hungry. I want lunch. I want pleasure. And you want to go to bed. Go to bed with a nice mind. Okay, so I'm going to share the screen again. Dedication prayers. Dedication prayers. Beautiful. Okay. You should be able to see the dedication prayer to achieve Buddhahood. Okay, good. Okay. Due to this virtue, may I quickly become a Guru Buddha and lead all transmigratory beings without exception to that state. May the precious Supreme Bodhicitta, not yet born, arise and grow. May that arise, not decline, but increase more and more. Lama Zopa Rinpoche, of His Holiness the Dalai Lama, sorry, by Lama Zopa, the wish-granting, wish-fulfilling jewel, source of every single benefit and happiness in this world, to the incomparably kind Tenzin Gyatso, I beseech, may all your holy wishes be spontaneously fulfilled. Long life prayer for His Holiness the Dalai Lama, and the land encircled by snow mountains, you are the source of all happiness and good. All-powerful Chenrezig Tenzin Gyatso, please remain until samsara ends. Then for His Holiness's wishes to be spontaneously fulfilled, Saviour of the land of snow teachings and transmigratory beings, who extensively clarifies the path that unifies emptiness and compassion, to the lotus holder Tenzin Gyatso, I beseech, may all your holy wishes be spontaneously fulfilled. Then for long life of Lama Zopa Rinpoche, you who uphold the subduer's moral way, who serve as the bountiful bearer of all, sustaining, preserving, and spreading Manjunath's victorious doctrine, who masterfully accomplishes magnificent prayers honoring the three sublime ones, saviour of myself and others, your disciples, please live long. Please live long. Please live long. Beautiful. Well, oops, good. May you all live long too, and we'll hopefully see you next week, and I'll get the time right. But I can't guarantee I won't be an hour early or an hour late. Bye-bye. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Thank you.